So those things are, I'm going to move over here. Alright, so those things are constantly headbutting in my life, and there's always a tug and pull of that, so that's why I picked those two colors.
Okay. So your life is an ebb of fear and hope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ebb and flow.
Dean.
Mine's a bit complicated. I try to think of everything, how my life is. You know, I come over here, I help you. I want to become a psychologist to help people. You know, I want humanitarian rights to prevail. I want, you know, justice, all that good stuff to happen. Those are my motivations and desires for the world. But that desire is born of avarice, because I see the world as wrong. I want to be a psychologist to help people, and when I mean help them, I mean make them more to my ideal of how they should be, because then they would be better for it. I come over here and I help you, and yes, I don't have to, but you know, I get companionship, I get conversation, and I've been known to get a few free items too. So I can't say that's purely altruistic that I come over to help you with anything. So that's born from avarice.
Nothing purely altruistic.
Well, but
this conversation.
But the avarice, but my compassion also comes from hate. Because I see something, for example, how modern day quote-unquote gangsters act and completely disrespect the trials and hardships of their heritage. That pisses me off, which makes me very compassionate to the cause of equal rights and against racism, because they piss me off, subgroups of them. So it comes back to anger. But what I'm afraid of is things, what I hate is things that I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of a world of complete ignorance, illiteracy, being championed as our race is defined by ignorance and illiteracy. That's what we are and we're proud of it. I fear that, which leads me to hate it. Therefore, I would have to say that all of my actions is ultimately born from a fear.
Okay, so you actually went with 3. You went with fear, anger, and avarice?
No, those are things that come from me, but what I would identify with the strongest would be fear, because everything else is born from a fear of something.
So, okay.
So which one should you wear, red or
yellow?
Red's my favorite color. And
same
purple,
here, but
yellow would be the closest to me.
in that case?
Yellow's my least
Are we
favorite
all
color
supposed to be
too.
putting them
No,
on?
it doesn't matter.
Yellow's my least
Make sure they
favorite
make
color
it that
too.
way.
Like a color of pea.
The staff?
What?
Like
That's what he's talking about. Will with the absence of action, is it still will?
You can be a paraplegic and still will yourself to want, you know, you can have
I want
will.
something, that's a desire.
But you could have the you really have the willpower to try to sit up, and you'll put the effort in, and you'll will yourself to sit up, but it won't happen.
So you're saying that willpower is effort. It
Yes.
is action.
Personally, I think willpower is almost the same as passion. It's the drive and desire to do.
Yeah.
To do, to feel, to be.
That
It's usually accompanied with action, but sometimes there's something that prevents that action from being like.
the drive to do something then is the same thing as want. Will is want.
Out of those, will is what I define myself most by. Personally, and granted this is very selfish of me, and I'm over self-analytical, I think far more about myself than anyone else ever will or should.
narcissist.
Yes, exactly. I feel I have a very great amount of passion and will and drive, but I feel that although will can exist without the action, it is completely useless and pathetic without it.
Mm-hmm.
I consider complacency to be my greatest enemy.
I think fear defines you better.
I do have a great amount of fear. I have no fear of death.
Your will stems from your fear.
Let me explain, and you might be right. I have no fear of death. I do have a fear of time. I fear that when my time is up, I will not have completed or enough to make my existence mean anything. For there to be any sort of a legacy that 2 generations from now, will I have made any impact on this planet that I will be remembered for any reason whatsoever? Will all this shit I've done mean any goddamn thing in time?
So his passion and drive
Given
for
enough
anything-
time, it will mean nothing.
His passion and drive
We still
for anything
remember,
comes
I
from
don't
fear.
know, Abraham Lincoln a couple 100 years. We still remember George Washington.
Yeah,
That's the one
but
I remember.
He's talking about generation span, 100 years even. You're talking about ultimately nothing will exist.
Sure, the planet will implode and nothing will exist.
Yeah, that's
sure.
not what he's talking
I'm talking micro in the human race enclosure.
So that therefore, all of your will, all of your quote-unquote passion is born from a fear. Therefore, fear is what you are.
I will tell you one of my greatest fears is standing still.
I told him if I was ever to torture him, I'd duct tape him to the floor.
It's not standing still physically that bothers me. It's the fact that I would grow stagnant. And the last time ever in my life that I have ever just let things happen, I have not been the controller. I have not been behind it. I have not put in, even if I'm not in control, I have not put in every ounce of effort that I have into it. It has failed on me. Someone has taken something from me. I have allowed something to happen to me. I have made poor decisions. All of my mistakes, I feel, have come from not taking enough effort.
Oh, maybe. I think that might be a post hoc
I
rationalization.
am stronger for it, but I still feel this incredible sense of responsibility that I don't think anyone else will ever feel. For every event that has ever happened in my life, I could have done something
I
to
think
prevent
that's
it.
not fair. I think a lot of people have that feeling. And,
It's not fair to the person because sometimes there really is not anything
Yeah.
you can do.
And I
Exactly.
have begrudgingly tried to accept that on many occasions, but my divorce, for example, which is where some of my greatest fears have stemmed from, I feel, although it was mostly her fault, I played my own part in it. And assigning blame is a little not really what I want to do there, but it's, yeah.
well, but you're assigning blame to yourself, too.
Exactly.
And then
I feel comfortable assigning blame to myself because I know what I am capable of and what I have failed, whereas I cannot judge what other people are capable of without being them.
in any event, when negative consequences have happened in your life and you say that you've had the control to change it, that's true. You've had options, there's other things you could have done to change the outcome, but that doesn't mean that all your choices will have led to a non-negative outcome.
I agree. But that doesn't stop the neuroses in my head nor the fear that I could have done something better.
And so that influences every aspect of who you are and what you do on a moment-to-moment basis. Your schooling, doing this studio, everything you do is born from a fear. You might call it passion, willpower, which it may be in the action itself, but that willpower is born from your pure fear. So your fear is what drives you.
When a Green Lantern receives the ring of will, it tells him that you have the ability to overcome great fear.
But you're now overcoming fear.
Listen to me for a minute. It does not mean that you don't feel that fear. It means that you do everything in your power to overcome it.
It doesn't
basically.
drive you.
It doesn't drive you as much as the will to overcome the fear drives you more than the fear itself. The fear must exist for you to have the will to overcome it.
Absolutely. In order for you to overcome your fear, though, you would need to embrace your fear and overcome it. Spend a week doing nothing. You are driven by your fear, which means you're not overcoming it, you're going with it. You're letting your fear drive you. You're not fighting your fear at all.
Maybe I'm embracing my fears.
Then you're letting it control you.
Well,
But I'm
sometimes is
using
the better
it to
thing.
I'm using it to fuel my passion. The second one I would have chosen is rage, and it goes very closely to that. For every bit of fear I might feel about that, I feel just as much anger that there is more I could have done. Anger at myself, anger at people who have disappointed me and letting me down, but more than anything, anger at myself. That I know goddamn well I could do better, I could do more.
Oh, by the way, Ryan, sorry for not being able to make it today.
Whatever, not worried about it. I can't control you. I can only control myself. I'm only angry that I expected better.
Well,
I'm sorry, man.
Expectations of me
I'm just being a
are
prick on
way
that
too
one.
high.
That was just me being an asshole.
I think from
Right.
that though.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Your expectations of me are way too high.
I expect a lot out of my friends because I know you people can do better than you do. Every single one of you can do far, far better than you do.
We have the will and the passion, though, to avoid doing as much work as possible while getting the job done. You should respect that. As it is a reflection of yourself, and you are an arrogant narcissist.
Yes, I'm the arrogant narcissist. No, you do not do everything you can because it is not always about
Everything
doing
we
it
can
as easy as possible.
to avoid
It's about
the-
doing it right.
How to shake hand.
When you contract us to come out and help you, it's like, okay, we'll help you. It's not that we want to do your shit right. We want to help you get it done.
I know, and I
That's
don't.
all.
I don't expect the same amount of effort you would get out of this being your own personal project. So I try to make all of my friends as emotionally and physically invested in everything I do so that when I ask for your help, you feel like you've been a part of something.
For me, it's fear of boredom.
I do it out of fear of boredom. Well, I think a lot of times it's a tit for tat thing. You know, I help you do this. Later on, if I'm in a shitty situation, I know I can call on Ryan and be like, hey Ryan, I got a shitty situation for you. Can you help me?
The way I am is formed off of my past experiences. I mean, I've had maybe 4 actual friendships.
What?
And 2 of them was with Josh and a mutual friend. And we spent years
Well, not
together.
necessarily
The
in
most
return.
we did is we just walked the streets. We get a polo pop, we'd walk the streets, and we'd
Because
have conversations like
Every
we'd had
interaction
today.
is like that.
This is what we would do every single day.
It's
We
not
weren't actually accomplishing anything,
That
but we were
I
exploring
am
thought
expecting something in
and
return.
concepts.
It's more. That's how you build relationships.
So this is what I
You know?
consider a good time. This is what I consider
Yeah.
friends doing together. It's not the manual labor. That isn't a bonding experience unless our lives are in danger and we're protecting each other. A bonding experience is an exchange of intellectual ideals and concepts.
I do think the physical can be a bonding experience, though.
It can be, but it's not.
I've
me.
bonded physically with people.
I like where the conversation is going, so now I'm going to ask another personal question based on each of these emotions. And we'll start with where I went, since you guys got so much out of me because I tell everything. Let's start with fear. What
Wow.
is your greatest fear?
Besides spiders?
There has to be a fear far greater than that. What is it that scares you more than anything?
I think maybe it's mass oppression.
It's what?
Mass oppression.
Mass oppression?
Depression.
Mass oppression?
Yeah.
Oh, like New World Order enslaving the planet.
And so wait,
Damn monkeys.
is
Oh, don't make fun of her. I want to know why.
yeah?
I'm not belittling everyone's fear. I just want to know why. Why do you fear this oppression? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's going to happen?
It might happen.
It already is.
I think it's definitely possible.
How so?
You give me like fucking textbooks on this shit. Go ahead and share your information.
You don't have to be afraid.
I mean, look at me and Josh. We disagree with each other all the time. That doesn't prevent us from, going at it.
Yep. We disagree all the time. Doesn't stop us from going at it. Whatever that means.
Like you
why
said,
do
we
feel
bonded.
why do you feel this oppression? Is it some kind of a paranoia? Is it, what's your evidence, I guess? Or your basis for the fear? Or do you think...
I mean, you really have to have evidence for a fear?
No, you
It's
don't.
irrational.
No, you don't. I'm trying to find a way to ask the question properly.
Is
I know
it
somewhere.
Is it fear of being a victim of oppression?
Fear of
Personally?
everybody being a victim of oppression.
Yep, but is it because is it because you are part of everybody, or is it do you think it's born of legitimate what was it? Concern for other people?
It's both.
What is that? Oh, rhinestone? It's an extra throwaway.
The,
No,
the
it's called
group
point
of the richest people on the planet, okay, they apparently they own all the medias, they own all the lands, they own all the marketers, they own all the banks. They create money
You don't
anywhere
need
at
all that.
will. Money does not exist for them because
Don't
they
need
are
all
the
of it.
gods of money. Every government forming, the different unions where countries are becoming one government, and eventually there'll be one government over the whole world, and then the people in power, these certain families will hold sway and power over the whole world. And if they want, if they decide it's easier to control the planet with half its population slaughtered, then half the population will be slaughtered. Diseases will be spread out, or they'll be locked away in new concentration camps. That's what she's talking about.
All right, yeah. Well, that's a different conversation for a different day, but I understand the fear.
Okay. Stephanie.
Isolation. And maybe not isolation, but more abandonment, I guess.
Okay.
Not by, and most of the time, it really takes a lot for me to consider somebody like a really good friend. It takes a lot from both sides, and like I have a lot of people that I consider friends or at least acquaintances, but there's a point, and there's only been, I don't know, maybe 7 people in my entire life that have crossed that point, and I guess my whole problem is I'm scared that once people get there and actually start seeing like exactly what I'm made of and what's in my head, that they're not going to like it and they're going to leave after I let them get that far.
So maybe it's not a fear of abandonment more than a fear of inadequacy?
I don't know, like most of the time if somebody doesn't like me, I don't much care.
Yeah.
Like if
But if you let them
It's
get
a-
to a certain point and then you like feel
It's a
the
fear of letting someone in and then having them abandon her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If people don't know
and I've
you,
had that happen.
if people don't know you, they don't like you. Who gives a shit? They don't know you. They
Right.
don't know what you.
They can't hurt you if you don't let them.
But
Yeah.
if they know you
Right.
and they
Which is where
reject
this
you,
comes
Yeah. Then
Then
that's
you got
rejection.
nothing.
So yeah.
My hope of the turnout of the situation is what is gonna push me to continue, just to continue, so that I can get to whatever the outcome is.
Yeah.
If I hope that there's the best, that it's gonna end up being like the best outcome for everyone in the situation, that's what's gonna drive me to continue.
Josh, your greatest fear.
Greatest fear. That's a tough one.
I know what you've told me.
Well, at what point? Like, at what point did I tell you?
At what point?
Like, what have I said? Because like I want to know if my
head on
opinions
a
changed.
stick.
What?
Head on a stick.
Head
Being
on a-
paralyzed from the neck down.
Oh yeah, that's terrifying.
But
That is a terrifying idea.
sure, but the loss of your mobility could also inspire your brain, Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
You could still
but
have greatness.
I think ultimately,
He won't be able to bond anymore though.
yeah, I think there's a simple amount of touch. Like loss of touch, the inability to affect the world is kind of like a thing. I don't know if that's what I would call my greatest fear, but that is definitely one of them. Is the loss of mobility, the loss of the ability to directly affect like the world around me. But I think like my biggest fear stems from success or failure. Like
You're afraid of being a failure?
I'm afraid of. Sometimes I'm almost put in a position of immobility because I'm afraid of. I'm even afraid of the concept of succeeding. Because I don't. Because there's everything. I think every fear stems from fear of the unknown. And I think that's what this really boils down to, is that I'm afraid that if I succeed, I don't know what's coming. And I'm also afraid of failing, but I know what failure brings. Like, so I'm more comfortable with failing than I am with succeeding, but I don't want to fail. And I'm afraid of that too. So, a lot of times I stress myself into not doing anything.
Are you afraid of succeeding and then failing to succeed in whatever you're trying to do, or are you afraid of succeeding and then not living up to the expectations of others?
I know, it makes me
That's
really
part of it,
anxious
too.
when I have to step out of my comfort zone in order to accomplish something.
Yeah.
See why I do that to everybody constantly?
That's very
I am not entirely in my comfort zone most of the time. These poetry readings,
Mhm.
and recently I've gotten more nervous, particularly after my revelation at one of them about the pregnancy.
Mhm.
It was then I went into this ego storm story about how cocky and assholey I am, basically. And I stuttered during the part where I said how confident and cocky how confident that I am. I stuttered during it. So, as much as I seem like a cocky asshole, I'm just as much afraid as everyone else. But we're all friends here.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the
It's
things,
expanding your comfort zone to make you more able to function and succeed.
I think really what it really boils down to is just the sheer, like with me, it's just the fear of, like, I don't know, it's just weird. I have a lot of really conflicting things, you know? Like, I hate being stagnant and not doing anything. I hate lack of change, but I'm also afraid of things changing so much in a way that has to do with my personal development, like failure or success. Issues that are cut and dry, like failure versus success. And even that is
like
changing.
You're afraid that
So you're
if you
afraid of
become
personal
successful, that you won't, you'll change as a person, and in a way you don't.
No, it's just a fear of like being, a fear of not it's the unknown that success would bring, the not knowing that if like let's say I went and joined up with like I did a poetry slam or whatever, got noticed for that and started traveling, right? I'm afraid that I can't keep writing material that will be on par with what I've done in the past. Like, that terrifies me. Like, maintaining that success, it feels like it's only a matter of time before I fail.
It wouldn't be on par with what you did in the past. It'd be on par with who you are at that point in time.
Exactly, you know, like, and there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of...
It's your evolution of character.
Yeah, and my big thing I'm trying to focus on this year, at least this summer, is that there's Anna Nismoj poem in which he says 2012 is the year of no mistakes. In that, it's not that you shouldn't make mistakes, and that this is the year you're not allowed to make mistakes. It's simply that you're not allowed to make mistakes because you can't. You can't fall, simply land. Wherever you end up, that's where you're supposed to be. And so, trying to adopt that mentality of no matter where I end up, that's where I'm headed, and so that alleviates a lot of this fear of success or failure, because there is no failure. Either you just succeed, and if you don't succeed, you end up where you end up running into new opportunities.
I don't have very much a fear of that, only in that I felt like I've been at my bottom, and that nothing else can really be that much worse. Alright, it's Dean's turn, since he's clearing his throat to try to clear up the
that's exactly what
I know, but it's a good segue into it.
Yes.
It'll sound awesome on the audio. Dean, what is your greatest fear?
Now, when you say greatest fear, are you talking the fear that I experienced the most, or the most terrifying thing I can imagine?
I don't know, you answer that question. Which one? Both.
Well, I've actually done a lot of research and insight into fear recently, because I started that emotion painting series, and fear happens to be the one I was focusing on. And I don't know if it was coincidence or if one sparked the other, but last year I experienced something for a couple of weeks that, what you said earlier, I didn't want to die, but being dead would have been a relief. Not because I was sad, but because I was constantly terrified. Not afraid, not panicked. I was just terrified. Everything. No matter what it was, I could not feel the slightest bit of happiness. If a friend walked up and handed me a milkshake, I thought, well, in a little bit, you know, it's only a matter of time before this person dies. They die, people won't remember this person. This person's worth remembering. If this person doesn't believe in God, or they go into hell, they don't deserve to work that way. Who am I to decide whether or not they deserve?
Thinking about death.
Who am I to decide whether or not they go to hell, they go to heaven? I'm not God. I don't have that privilege. If they defy these things, they deserve that. I'm terrible for thinking that. You know, I was afraid of all these things. I'm afraid of everything. Every little thing was something that was completely terrifying because of an ultimate end, and because I didn't know that ultimate end.
Were you well, it's,
and I
it's
was thinking a
fear
lot
of the unknown.
I was thinking a lot of death too, and the concept of going to hell is probably the worst. But for some reason, I also equally am afraid of non-existence after death. You know, I'm afraid of my own mind. Do I believe that there's an existence after death just because the alternative scares me? Or is my logical processes based on the insights I've had into the data I've researched, like a rational person? Now, there could be an argument made either way.
Whether or not you're rational.
Yeah. Well, rather not the people I choose to associate with are dicks, but
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's not mutually exclusive.
But besides the point,
We could be dicks and you could be irrational.
so I was so focused on all these things, and I know if I die and I don't exist, it's not going to matter, like Epicurus, and we were talking about earlier. But, you know, the concept of it, even though I can't fathom it, terrifies me. And so I was just in a really bad place where I couldn't function at all, and I stopped working on the painting for several months. Eventually, though, I came to an equilibrium and was able to, like most people do, I'm sure, block the thought of what they don't know from their minds and engage themselves and engulf all of the time into other activities to keep their mind off of other things. But every now and then, I'll be watching a TV series, or most nights before I go to bed, go to sleep, the thoughts will come back to me. A lot of nights I go to sleep afraid to go to sleep. I have no control over when I'm asleep. Even if I have an aneurysm while I'm awake, up till that moment, I'm conscious of what's going on around me. If a bomb or something drops out of the sky when I'm asleep, you know, I got no say over there. So it's gotten to the point where it's become more, at this point in my life, it's not so much fearing the unknown as much as fearing fear itself. I fear being paralyzed by that much fear again.
Wow, that was deep.
That's so meta.
I know. I made 2 personal thoughts while that was happening, and I forgot what the fuck they were. For me personally, the unknown, for the most part, excites and inspires me. I was not this person before my divorce. That was a very life-changing event for me, and I bring it up constantly, and people have constantly told me, get over it. It's not a matter of getting over it. It's a matter of I am an entirely different person now, and this is how I judge myself now from who I was then. It's a completely different Ryan. And the thought, I have never since then ever been afraid to feel anything. I just accept that it is a feeling that I must feel. Which is part of what inspired Destructicon, also behind Matt Cross. That, although it means a bunch of artistic things, has a personal meaning, as I started it the summer that I began to put my life back together and rebuild what was left to me. It stands as a grave marker for Ryan and Lisa. But also, as the Christian cross is a symbol of rebirth, it stands as a rebirth and a redemption as a new person. I've been reborn as a new person, and I have felt I have redeemed myself, or I am constantly going to be trying to redeem myself for the sins of my marriage. Whether or not I actually was in that much of wrong is not the matter that really matters to me, other than I keep continually trying to be better than the person I was then. Moving on. Dan, you're the last of fears, my friend. Or did he already get into it?
Pass.
No fear?
Huh?
You're not going to do fear?
Oh, I'm going to do fear. I'm just busy.
You know, you're going to have to say now before I move on to the next emotion.
He's afraid he'll discover Batman isn't real.
Now, what we were just saying about dicks goes all the way around the room.
But
Don't say that about Kelsey, I'll stab you.
She has dicks going all around her?
I'll be right
I
back.
don't know, the Steph said something at D&D, if I remember correctly, that led us to wonder.
Alright. Dan, what is your greatest fear?
death, but not my own.
Then whose? Quit being a dick and let him answer the question properly.
My biggest fear is my friends and family dying. So ultimately, fear of being alone.
Simple enough. Alright. How about we move into something happier?
You know, speaking of what you were talking about earlier, the whole comfort zone idea. I don't know if I really have a comfort zone. Like, there's an area where I'm comfortable in and I'm content being there. But as far as, you know, not being comfortable in doing something, only bad things, you know, like raping children without the parents' permission. But
It's a running joke.
yes, I don't associate with new people because then I end up encountering people like fucking Carly, and that makes me want to go and.
But you associated with me, and look where you're sitting.
I thought you was a complete dick when I first met you, but you gave me your anti-life equation, and I looked through it, and I'm like, oh, this is wrong. This completely goes against his whole theory here. So I brought it back to you and said, you know, this is what's wrong, and that started a conversation, which led us into the more stuff.
I think you're the only one that really read it and analyzed it.
I think so too. Everyone I brought it up with is like, I don't even know what the fuck it was.
It's because it mathematically relating philosophical concepts. It's two entirely different subjects brought together as one.
I would say that
I think we should have a discussion on
it's
that
a
sometime.
re-meeting.
I have had one before, and I can even play the
I
tape.
would say, Ryan, I would say that it's a re-meeting of concepts that used to be related, but now are less discussed.
You are right, because a lot of the earliest philosophers were also genius mathematicians who created most of the theorems we still use today. Pythagoras, for example.
Yeah.
Descartes.
Descartes was a mathematician. Descartes pretty much defined and invented trigonometry.
But
You
like
can have it.
Yeah.
at your house,
I happen to love math, so fuck you.
Well, you can love math all you want. You can go marry math. Okay.
and if it wasn't for D&D,
I will have sex with math and make it my ex. And then she will ask
Yes.
why, and I will not solve.
yeah.
But asking us to find
See
your
now
ex over.
that is geek humor.
I would say that's nerd humor.
God damn it, no! No. Alright,
Okay.
moving along to conversation.
Well, hold on. What I was trying to say that is that if it wasn't for, you know, like side conversations and whatnot at these events, I still wouldn't even know Stephanie's name. She'd be a person that you happen to know and exist.
Stephanie
in your
wouldn't
life.
even talk this goddamn much if I didn't pull her out of her shell, and her boyfriend.
Pull her
Yeah,
out of her
Karen,
shell and her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend has helped pull her out of her shell.
Yes,
Like I said,
I'm trying to shut up, asshole.
Realize other shit. Things came up at D&D that led us to realize other aspects of Stephanie's, you know, personal life.
You pulled Stephanie out of her boyfriend.
Exactly. They were having a bonding experience.
Alright,
Oh, that's what they make strap-ons for.
moving along.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I have an answer to this yet, but what is your greatest hope? And we'll start with Josh,
Why do I? Okay.
because you're in front of me.
Ah, you're a dick.
Yes. I'm starting in almost reverse order.
Greatest hope. Kevin Smith will keep making movies. No.
No, because some of them have sucked.
None of them have sucked.
Jersey Girl.
No, Jersey Girl was awesome.
Never watched it.
It has Jersey in it, so it must
You
suck.
troll.
Jersey does suck pretty bad.
That's why the movies are so good. Alright, greatest hope, greatest hope. I hope. I don't fucking know, man.
He hopes to know what to hope for.
No. I don't know.
It can be personal, it can be for human race in general, it can be for your
No,
family
I
and
think
friends.
my greatest hope is that I don't stop meeting interesting people. My greatest hope is to keep meeting interesting people. Because boring people suck. Primarily because I don't get interesting conversations from boring people. And there's no like epiphanies that happen when talking to boring people. You don't expand.
Grow.
You don't grow as a person by discussing boring. But at the same time, I also don't think there are that many boring people with the lives that are that.
Everyone has some story to tell. It's
Exactly.
just a matter of getting it out of them.
Exactly. And so
Even the gas station attendant.
I don't think that there's going to be any trouble, like
I'm afraid that
keeping that.
So you're
tradition.
hopeful about your hope.
But yeah, exactly. I hope that I just keep this trend in my life where I keep meeting people that help me become a better person. Because that's the big thing, is that not even just that the people that I meet are interesting. They are. But I think that I have been extremely lucky to know the people that I know. Because like for a good portion of time, I lived in my friend Shauna's house and with her family. And I know no one else that would have let me live there like that. Like in that context, the way they did, they made me part of that family. and like my friends, like you guys, like everybody I know, but like just like I have interesting conversations, and I get into like these discussions differently with other people, with different people. Like Dean and I have a different kind of level of discussion that we have than I have with you, or
Yes, it is.
Cajun, or we talk about different things. We engage each other in different ways, and it makes different. It fills different parts of me.
If I just
Can I-
if I kill someone just to kill them,
Fair enough.
I won't be able.
Not physically, not physically.
Well, those
Dan?
are, like I said earlier, it's just funny because
What
I
is your
consider
greatest hope?
conversations the bonding
Hang on.
experience.
I'm moving on real quick. I'll come back to you in a sec. Only because Dan was having a side conversation, so I'm bringing him back into this one.
You're an asshole.
I know.
But,
What is your greatest hope?
Should I finish the greatest fear part first?
Did you not? Okay.
My greatest fear is, I told you my greatest fear was for my friends and family dying, to be left alone.
Uh-huh.
It's because I ultimately don't like myself, and how I feel if I'm left alone for such an amount of time, I will do something that is unforgivable, it'll just undo me.
It might just rebirth you, as long as it's not a physical destruction.
It might be.
No, it's not so true.
I said
You can do
something
something that causes you to go insane
Not
or
mine.
withdraw from reality.
If you do something to cause yourself to go insane, then you are already probably insane to begin with.
Not necessarily.
I said to him, you're talking about suicide, aren't you? And he's like, no. Like, I can't really think of many things that are irreversible and unforgivable.
Okay, Dan. What's your greatest hope then?
To overcome that fear.
Aha! That's a good one. I
My
like that.
friends and family help me overcome that fear every day I spend with them.
I like that. Kelsey?
Oh, my greatest hope is.
Actually, I'm going to do a side note, give her a second to think. 'Cause she
She
looks like she
needs
needs a
that one,
second. A long time ago, do you guys remember the movie 13 Ghosts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each one of these ghosts had like a label.
Is that the one in the glass house? The big ass moving house? and
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I, at
stones.
a point, had started defining some of my old friends like that by giving them these names, and each person would have a collage page in a book called We're All Fucked Up.
That's an interesting idea, actually.
I still have the binder where I cut out magazine letters and put We're All Fucked Up on the cover. Never did the concept. Like, one of them would be the eternal child, and one of them would be the other twin. Things like that.
Those all sound like really weird book titles.
Well, I think-
Josh, personally, his label would be the street poet. I know of no single label that would better define a better portion of his personality than that alone.
Every time I hear somebody comment Josh being a poet, I'm reminded immediately of Sweeney Todd and the song where they comment on the poet on the street and you can't tell if it's dead or not.
I love that song. The trouble with poet is how do you know it's deceased?
Alright, now back to Kelsey. Your greatest hope.
I don't know what I hope for most.
That seems a little depressing.
I know you
I
work
do.
almost.
Do you?
Actually, yes.
Oh yeah? Go ahead, answer for her, because she can tell you you're wrong.
You spoke of a machine you want to make for free energy to change the world. You want to change the world.
Yeah,
Stop
I
oppression.
was thinking about that.
You hope to meet Marilyn Manson.
Yes, my greatest trouble.
No. Your greatest hope has to be something personal and selfish, personally.
Why is everyone selfish?
We're
Everyone's
humans.
selfish.
That's
because
I disagree with
that's
that
not
idea,
necessarily
that
true,
concept.
actually. But everyone's self-motivated.
I don't
I
know.
wouldn't say everyone is selfish.
No. I don't, well, self-motivated, yeah. It's probably a better definition than what I said.
Mm-hmm.
So you hope to change the world?
Yeah, to impact the world in a positive way in some way.
Okay. Fair enough. Stephanie, you look like you're not saying any goddamn thing, so now I'm asking you
No, I'm
since
not
you're wearing the
saying
blue
anything.
ring. Aha! You just got called upon.
Yeah. I guess just that everyone ends up with their best case scenario. Like, with whatever they want to do with their lives. My friends first, and then me. I'm last with
That's
that.
That doesn't work though.
Why?
Because if your greatest hope is for other people's things to succeed, and then yours, well, your greatest hope is for them to succeed. So if they succeed, you automatically get what you want.
Well, like, I don't know. The way
A
my
self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the chicken and egg, you know?
well, the way my whole thing works in my head is that for the most like I can't really think of any exceptions at the moment. I'm going to put my friends before myself. I don't really care what the situation is. That's just how it's going to happen. And if it means I have to give up something for my friends to get what they need or what they want, then I will do that, if it's at all possible.
I've recently learned the lesson in life, I guess, that mentality is terribly dangerous. And because I like, let's say a year ago, I'd probably give that same answer. And the reason why I would say otherwise now is because you lose yourself in other people. And there's an important, if you live for other people's happiness and you want the other people to be like, that's your primary motivation is there, you'll get used, you'll get stepped on, and your passions will get stomped out by them. I lived with somebody for an entire year, and their problems in their life was my problems in my life, and I didn't do anything. Like, it took me until the end of the year to realize that I didn't do anything I wanted to do while I was down there. Because I'd done that. I'd made their hopes and their dreams my responsibility. You are not responsible
Right, and
for other people's happiness.
it's not that I'm saying I'm responsible, but if there's something I can do about it, I'm going to.
I mean, yeah, there's a fine line between. I'm just saying, like, it's okay to be, like, have other people's interests at heart. If I know a handful of people who, if they called me right now, I'd be doing my best to help them in whatever way I could, and I would drop whatever I'm doing to go do that. So yeah, but there's a limit to that, in that I will not sacrifice, again, end up in a position where I sacrifice myself for other people.
It kind of goes back to what I said earlier. There are a select few people that have gotten to my little inner circle. Those are the people that I would do anything for.
Yeah.
I mean, like, anybody else that I consider a friend, if they need something and I can help them, then I'm going to do it. But the extent honestly depends on how close to that inner circle that they are. The closer you are, the more I'm going to do for you.
I want to comment on this in that if you completely spend your entire life living for someone else based on personal experience, then when that person finally achieves their happiness and leaves you behind because you have made them stronger, you have nothing left. They've left with everything that you have.
Exactly.
When you're somebody who, many of us, maybe not you, have had damaged childhoods, since damaged works better than broken for me, have had childhoods that weren't exactly happy
Well,
or
if you're
successful.
referring to the entire childhood or a specific set of events? 'Cause
The
I can
entire
think of-
childhood is...
There
yeah.
was a spot that no person that age should have to deal with.
But,
And it was absolutely retarded.
but let me
Don't say
finish it.
family too.
Yeah, for someone who has had that and then you go and try to build your life upon another person, when they're gone, you have no life left. You've tried to make what you didn't have out of someone else, and when they finally make that and move on, you're left alone.
It's like Gabby was telling me a couple of days ago. It's the concept of sacred selfishness. The idea that it's not always a bad thing to be self-motivated, to be this is what I want, as opposed to what do other people want from me. Because a lot of the time I ask myself, a lot of the time in the past I've asked myself, what does this person want from me, and what can I do to give whatever they want to them? And you deplete yourself that way. You spend so much energy.
And that's why it depends, like at least for me, on where this person is, because I let someone get extremely close, and they practically threw me off the roof of a 10-story building. And that's, like, it completely, like, several times. And it completely crushed, like,
Your
I
pelvic
was,
bone?
I was pretty much, well, no, not literally.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing
Metaphorically.
at his dickery.
What?
While she wasn't
But-
looking and
No, I
all
saw it.
emotional, he goes and steals something from
No, I saw it. But, like, that's why it takes so much for me to let someone get that close.
Yeah.
Is because this one person just completely ruined it. Like, I couldn't trust
Yeah.
anybody.
Hate that word.
I couldn't, well, I
What,
couldn't do
trust?
Ruined.
Love?
Ruined.
it. Well, for,
Ruined.
Ruined. They
Okay,
ruined
maybe
my
not
life.
ruined.
They ruined
No.
me. No, they didn't.
no, they ruined that part of it. I'm stronger now because of it, and had I not had that happen, I don't even want to think about it. But just like it, I don't know. It's kind of a, I don't want to say a paradox, but something like that. That once a person gets to that point, I'm gonna put them before myself in almost everything. But it takes a lot of effort on their part to let me to get me to allow them to that point.
I guess
so it's kind of a mutual thing, whether they realize it or not, but it is in my head.
Yeah, I guess my point being that I'm not shitting on your hope. I'm just
Right.
saying that as somebody who has gone too far with something like that, I'm just expressing that it's a dangerous road to walk, and it's a tightrope, and that's all I'm doing.
Right.
You heard him. He's not sharing your hope. He doesn't even give a fuck, let alone shit.
Oh yeah, you missed that conversation.
On that note, Dean, what is your greatest hope?
What is your greatest shit?
So that we may shit upon it.
Yes.
My greatest hope: the continued accumulation of wisdom.
Personally or for mankind in general?
Well, to be honest, my immediate thought is personally.
Okay.
Because in my opinion, there are some people on the planet who will be stupid forever.
This is true.
But in a broader sense, when you start to think about it, you know, it's not the first thought, but when it occurs to you, yes, for the world.
Okay. Now that leaves me.
That remind me sometime to give you my opinion on why I disagree with the concept of destruction breeds creativity too. I've had it in my mind, but I keep forgetting it whenever I'm here.
Yeah, I'll never remember.
I'll comment on that when you're done.
My greatest hope is that I will leave a legacy. I am very self-involved. I am very self-analytical. So I immediately consider myself and how I affect everyone else before I consider their effect on me. Not that I am without compassion, but I have been the person who have felt so much for someone else that I feel that I must put myself first. I've had family that I don't feel, my entire family, I don't feel have ever been there for me. I have constantly been fielding complaints and arguments about me attending school and trying to better myself. Like, what the fuck am I doing? I constantly feel like certain people have let me down. So it's a matter of that I consider myself before anyone else because I don't feel anyone else ever has. I don't feel, and when it comes to trust, I don't feel like I can ever truly trust anyone but myself. Serious trust
That's
issues.
That's fair.
Alright. That's got
Alright.
depressing again. Go ahead.
I'll often, you know, be on the shitter and not do anything. I'll analyze you. That's right. I have given shits to you.
And,
You
you know
don't give a
what?
shit
Just as
about
long as you don't give me any fucks, because I don't want them.
You're not important enough to give a fuck.
In the middle of fucking like, oh, what's Ryan up to?
You're an ass.
But
I have given you a fuck.
it's like, for example, when we
And it was
ran all
flying,
that
'cause we were
furniture
on the
out
air.
to the apartment,
Uh-huh.
and when we pick up shit, or you pick up shit, and they'll be like, oh, well, so-and-so needs this. Yeah, there you go. Now, I've thought about it on several occasions, like, you'll get what you need to support someone, or like someone's looking for a coffee pot. Well, you happen to come across a coffee pot. Well, here you go. That's fine. But in other cases, like in an apartment, we got enough shit to fill 2. They didn't have room for everything. So, but we still took it out there.
Yeah,
So-
let them
so-
make the decision
so-
what they want.
You go beyond to accomplish these things. Now, do you do it just because you happen to come across it and therefore you have no need of it? Give it to someone else. Is that a practical sense? Do you do it because they are your friends and you're doing it to help them? Or do you do it because you like to be seen by the people you associate with as the guy who will come through for them and give them this shit and whatnot?
I like to be seen as the guy who will come through them, for my friends, but I also like to actually be that person. In the giving people things that I find, it's partially I can help someone out. I have the ability to help them out, and it does not inconvenience my immediate goals or plans.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason why I cannot. I would rather choose the altruistic method than the lack of caring method. If it doesn't interfere with any of my personal goals.
That's not altruistic, though.
I know. That's why
It's
that's why I kind of said it like
You
that.
like to think of yourself that way. Okay.
Sure. I would prefer the good over the bad, I guess, or the good over the apathy.
That's what I do. I think about the people I meet.
But it's also partially a motivation in that I do not like to see anything useful go to waste at all. So if anyone I know has a use for these things that would otherwise go to a dump, I want them to have them. So, that's that. Moving on.
Oh, she had something to say too about you.
Oh, yeah, what about me?
On your destruction breeds creativity.
Creation,
Sorry.
close
I like
enough.
that because, like, if something ends up destroyed, like, even to a point that you can't recreate what it used to be, you can make something else out of it.
Mhm.
And you have to be able to, like, that's, I don't know, I think I have a very strange means of thinking, for the most part, and,
You're one of our friends, that's a prerequisite.
Yeah.
well, yeah.
I think it's more
But-
on par with the way most of us think, anyway.
Well, like, even in groups like this, my means of thinking seems to be just sometimes completely off the wall, and it makes sense to, like, nobody else. But it seems like you need to be able to pick up the pieces and build something better out of it.
That is very much the truth. A lot
Even
of
if it
my
doesn't serve the
philosophy
same
that goes
purpose-
behind
same
Destruction Breeds
purpose.
Creation. Now, the title itself comes from a Red Hot Chili Peppers song.
Okay.
Not that I'm a huge fan of them, it's just that one moment in time, I heard that song at a point when I happened to be thinking about this, and I renamed that cross a couple times. Before, in the idea stage. It was in an idea stage for 8 years before it was ever built. And the moment in my life just happened to be where it was perfect. But a lot of the philosophy behind it comes from a essay I read called Art is the Process of Destruction. In it, the author quotes another author who I don't know, but he says, to create any form of art is first a process of destruction before it is a process of creation. For the painter, to create a beautiful to create a painting, he must first destroy the perfect whiteness of the canvas.
Yep.
I disagree with that concept.
A lump of the perfect block of marble must be destroyed before a sculpture can emerge from it.
In that case, like, the perfect, like, unexperienced, naivete of an infant must be crushed.
Destroyed for them to grow.
See,
Yep.
I
And
disagree.
it follows with the life metaphor. Life cannot exist without death.
Except for, I don't believe that innocence is really pure.
I disagree with the concept that destruction breeds creation. Because I'm looking at it in the context of, like the canvas, for example. You go from nothingness or blankness, and I'm saying this both in art and everywhere else. When you got nothing, you can't destroy nothing. And the canvas, you're not destroying the canvas. And even though pure whiteness, as you call it, the nothingness, is a concept, not an actuality. The art itself that you create is an actual thing that you're putting on that canvas, and the canvas itself still exists there under that thing. Maybe your perception of it is changed, but not necessarily destroyed. And as far as the block of marble, the marble is not destroyed. It is reshaped and repurposed. It's reformed, but that's not necessarily creating it. And that goes to the philosophical argument that a book or an art piece or a statue is there, and you're just taking away the excess. So on that line of reasoning, I disagree with the concept that destruction is what breeds creation.
But you're saying that it's coming from nothing, and no painting, no piece of art nothing can ever come from nothing. It has to have existed in some form beforehand.
It's chicken and egg complex.
Law of conservation of mass.
Existence. As far as we know, at one point, none of it did.
We don't know that. It could have always existed forever. We don't know that.
How can something come into existence without at some point becoming existent?
Maybe it never not existed.
That's an interesting idea. Like, if there was like a beginning. Like, everybody wonders, like, everybody is sure that there was a beginning. But, like, why? Why are we sure that there was a beginning?
They had to come from somewhere.
Why?
There had to be some sort of starting point.
Why? It's a very human and very selfish, I guess, mentality to assume that because we think we begin from somewhere, that everything must have a beginning, that everything must flow in a straight line.
If everything has an end, then everything should logically have a beginning.
Nothing has a true end.
Yeah, who's to say it never ends?
When I die,
Eventually,
nothing has ever ended. My molecules go back into the earth, they get recycled. My thoughts or ideas might still inspire other people who, it may evolve from generation to generation, but the original thought might have existed in my son.
You're talking about the micro. I mean, when you look at the extreme macro, eventually even quarks lose their spark.
But then they're redefined as something else.
No, as far as we can perceive, there is nothing smaller than a quark. There's literally nothing.
Just because they lose their spark doesn't mean they cease to exist. They lose a charge, but does it cease to exist?
And as far as we can perceive it, yes.
That doesn't mean it ceases to exist. It means we cease to perceive it.
See, we're giving it.
If it's the law of conservation of mass holds true, then that thing cannot cease to exist. It must be transitioned to some other form. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. Therefore, everything is constantly a shift to another state.
Then this is a state that we are incapable of perceiving.
Exactly.
Which makes
Because we can't see the entire picture.
We cannot perceive
I'm not
everything
talking
that ever
specific. This is all theoretical. Whatever.
Uh-huh.
This is just an interesting idea.
Okay.
I'm not saying I agree, but I'm asking myself, why do we insist that there needs to be a beginning? Is that it's like
why do people hold that?
Because everything that we know of has a beginning, and so we automatically apply that principle to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't see the entire picture. We're just seeing our frame of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we really can't do that because, I mean, like, if we can only see like this much of the picture, then we can't apply the same properties to the entire painting because we can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And do we all agree that the people who have been defining this, writing books and papers, regardless of whether or not their opinions agree or disagree and vary, do we all agree that there's a shit ton more people, past and present, who are much more knowledgeable about this and devote a lot more time to studying this shit?
Yep.
There's always somebody who knows more than you about something.
So then, were there interpretations that there was a beginning? Seem logical.
Not necessarily.
They're trying to fucking cornhole reasons for the beginning, but the data they've gotten and studied points to a beginning of one sort or another. I read a paper about how our universe came into existence because of black holes.
But are humans really capable of perceiving something without setting up these, without compartmentalizing it?
Have you ever heard of God rules incompleteness theory?
No.
I think I have.
His theory states that in any scientific method or anything you look at, there's always a variable. I completely forgot what we were talking about before.
I just wanted you guys to hear that line because we were talking about like weather scientists knew
I'll
whatever.
let you guys pick the next one.
And I wanted to.
How about we just put them in like a hat and somebody randomly
Why do we
draws?
gotta pick more?
Why not? This is
Because we're
fun.
going through the spectrum.
This is kind of
This is
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
kind of
fun.
fun.
Alright.
I'm digging it.
Take a vote.
Monkeys dance.
Take a vote. We
I like-
have
I like
love,
it.
we have will, or passion. We have rage, and we have avarice.
I like a random idea. We randomly pick one.
I don't know. Are we gonna
That's
ask
my
what
vote.
all those different things mean to all of us?
Yes.
Yes. I'll ask a question based on it.
Wait a minute, you're not doing compassion?
Not yet. I don't know about how to answer that question yet. That's why I picked these 4.
Yes, stall for yourself.
Yep, basically. A stall for Kelsey, why not?
That sounds very American.
Love.
Human.
Give me a vote. First thing comes to your mind.
Color people.
I have a December song playing in my head right now.
Will.
She's got will. You?
Grace.
Which one?
Wait, what?
Which one of these are we doing next? Love, will, anger, avarice.
Do you want to do
I
Will?
still don't think greed is an emotion.
Avarice is his choice?
I just said I don't think greed is an emotion, so why is that my choice?
You said greed.
Because he said so.
Trying to
That's nice.
Josh?
Greed is his choice.
I don't care.
Just do Will.
Alright.
Will, you do Will.
I will you to do Will.
Alright, I will not. So here's the question. And I will start with Dan.
Fuck you very much.
What is your greatest passion? What drives you?
Didn't we
Again,
already answer
fear.
this?
Did we?
Essentially
Yeah.
with hope. A hope,
Or fear. Fear could be your drive.
like this is a difficult, like, thing to form a question about. I mean, because like we're talking about a lot, like the answers you're gonna get from that question being brought out is going to be very similar to your hope one, if not,
Identical.
yeah, it's either gonna be identical or very similar. However, depending, like, yeah, because like our hopes are essentially our passions.
Okay. But then I'm switching colors.
I don't know. You
Why?
can stick with Will and
Because-
ask what. No, even then.
I'm switching colors because we're gonna have a circular answer. I think I agree with
Yeah,
Josh.
like ultimately, it's gonna end up where I hope it.
Okay. What was or is your greatest love, or who were they? This can be, and I define love in 4 different forms of love: familial, platonic, as in friendship, romantic, and spiritual. And almost nobody can. Almost no one ever considers spiritual love.
Yeah, it is. That's
I want to say when
The
people are talking
concept,
love, they consider it far too earthly.
No, there's a whole concept of it. Like it's
There
in,
might be, but he's talking about in the general populace of people.
in poetry. Shit. What? It's not eros. Eros is passion, but there's agape. Agape is love of God or the spiritual or the divine, and it even blends because there's actually this poet. I wouldn't say not Milton. Can't remember his name, but he wrote essentially erotic poems about God. Like he used erotic words when describing his love for God, and he once in one of his poems basically said that God should come down and rape your soul and take you and take over. It was really weirdly awesome.
It sounds very strange.
Yeah, he used a term that at the time essentially meant rape, which was ravish.
I love the word ravish.
Yeah, he said, "Let God ravish you." Okay, so you want us to answer on all levels, or do you want us?
I want at least. You don't have to answer on all levels, but I want at least one real person.
Like, does it have to be a person? Can it be an idea?
Define your greatest
Do we
love.
answer?
The longest lasting, the
You define
most
that.
intense.
You define
So,
what
that's
is
it.
the greatest love. I want at least one real person. You can say ideas, but I want you to tell me at least one person you have loved. Because none of us in this room have not ever not felt love.
But no, but that's the thing is like, okay, so we're gonna talk about romantic love. Are we talking about love for Like there's so many different things. Like I love ideas.
This
You know, there are
this question
ideas
is just
I'm
too
love.
vague.
Like if you asked me what my greatest love was, my initial answer to you was to create.
Okay.
Would have been to make things, to get involved and actually produce a product and make something. That is my greatest love in life.
I like that answer. You can go with that, but I also want you to tell me at least one person.
One person that I love?
Yes. One physical, tangible person.
Besides me.
All of us can claim self-love, but pick someone other than yourself that you... I don't think anyone in this room has ever not loved someone. We all have had parents, at least.
Does it count with us too?
Sure. One of you better say the other, or Jesus Christ, fuck your relationship.
Oh shit. See, like,
Or do we
I don't
have to
know,
pick
like,
someone else?
relationships are difficult because in the past I felt like I loved somebody, but I in retrospect realized that it wasn't that.
Well,
Do
you
you not
still felt the emotion of love, though.
Do you not understand love yet, or...
I very much think I understand it to the extent of, okay, so I think love of family, in which I've, like, defined as my family, my friends that I have defined as my family, I think is far more powerful than my love of people that I've been with in a romantic sense. I have not found somebody, and I don't think there is really somebody that I can do that, like, be full, like, I'm a passionate person in that contents, but I think there's more to be said for the unconditional love of family and those your friends that you consider family. And there are far too many people on that spectrum to name just one person. Really. I think the only thing I could really come close to that is, say, my dad, because he's always been there. He's always going to be my dad, and I'm going to always love my dad. So I guess there's a person. But I don't really feel like, when talking about love, like, I don't feel like it's necessary to like, really dwell on a person. Like, it's weird.
What about Kimmick?
What?
Kimmick.
Oh, Josie, that was an infatuation. That was... Like, the older I got, the more I realized that the only reason I wanted her was because I couldn't have her.
Wasn't you with her?
I was with her at one point, but it didn't work out, and then and it didn't work. Like, and that was the thing, is I couldn't just let go of that. I think that was one of my biggest problems in high school, was that and the fact that she kept leading me on. But that's high school, you know? And I know I'm not that far removed, but that feels like ages ago. Like, she and I are completely just friends now, and like I don't have I don't fawn after her the way I used to. And so I don't think it was love. I love her as a person, like in the same way that I love, like, everybody, you know. But I don't love her, like, in a romantic, longing sort of sense. I don't think it ever was really loved. I think it was more of I couldn't have her.
Okay, Dean, you can answer the question on both levels. What do you love? You can answer it both as an idea, a thought, a drive, and one person. Or you can take an hour-long jump around the conversation like Josh.
I didn't
I
jump
know.
down
I'm
on
just fucking with you, man.
The person seems no-brainer between us. That's why I was asking you, because maybe...
Okay, then pick another person too, if you want. We'll go with yes, sure, we all agree that you have a happy relationship and I hate you and all that, so move on.
And this is the question, though. There's different types of things. There's, I guess, at the bottom level, what he called infatuation. Then there's intense, what you might describe as passion. Then there's, like in the 5th grade, when I was 12 years old, walked in, and at literally the exact moment I saw this girl, I fell in love with her. And I did for many years. Even when I didn't have contact with her for 4 years, I was so infatuated that I took out a phone book and highlighted all the people with her last name, thinking if she was ever in trouble, I'd get a psychic ping and then I'd go track her down. This, yes.
Wow, I thought that was bad.
So, there's that. But nothing ever happened between us. You know, we didn't even go on a date. We never even actually talked about it. Although I think that the feelings were mutual to some degree at one point. But nothing ever happened. So, and then there's a concept of love. I love stimulation. Like, yes. When I'm not talking about just blowjobs, Josh.
I wasn't thinking.
You was the first one that giggled like something.
I was the one. I thought of dirty things.
That was for me.
Anyway.
But the concept of the stimulation conversations we've had tonight, what other people seem to like to call arguments, I call intellectual conversations. You know, or watching like the 3-minute philosophy things or interesting movies, like No Thinking Aloud, for example, shit like that.
Person? Besides Kelsey, anyone else? You can go with your parents if you want. I mean, that's almost a no-brainer for most people, but some people, for example, may love their family, but don't like them very much.
Well, I love my family. It's just, it's like, you know, that innate. When, what you're talking about, the concept of love, okay?
And
means something that is it goes beyond what is innate to you. So.
I mean, yeah.
if you can't think, we can move on.
I would have to say probably Brian Lewis.
Oh, Miss Brian.
Yes, he is my #1 best friend, and is more like a brother than anyone else I've ever met.
I miss Brian a lot.
Yes.
Stephanie's next.
We need to go.
We should,
like save up money and go.
All right,
visit.
Stephanie. What and who do you love? Uh huh. Fuck that leaving. Come on. You're not getting out of this shit that easily.
Yeah, this is like.
We've still got like 5 more rings to go through.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
but I do
strap
have to
in.
go soon.
Yeah, we may not get through all of them, but whatever. That's why I picked this one now. Because this is the one that most people are going to stutter over, because most people don't want to say who they love in front of everyone else.
You also have a problem with identifying these questions. Like you say, what is death? In the concept that everything that can transit from one state to another is alive. So can anything not experience emotion be alive? Well, you answered your own question.
Welcome to Socrates Cafe, basically. Ask questions and never give you a right answer.
You should make a sign.
Ask questions and answer your question in the same sentence.
Well, I didn't
like
mean to do
douche.
that if I did that. I just kept kept asking unanswerable questions. Stephanie,
Um,
who and what? You're allowed to say who I already know if you want.
Oh, shut up. I love my music. Music is my...
answer.
Well,
It,
and
more than
I'm,
one person can have
I'm
that.
going more specific. So, like, I play bass. And I have my amp that I could gut and curl up inside of, and it's huge, and I love it. And it's like, I don't know, just anytime I get to play with, like, my brother plays guitar, my sister plays keyboard, and anytime there's a bunch of us and we can just get up and play something, like, even at, like, concerts or something, I love just being able to hear the bass because it's like a pulse, and I can't really explain it, it's really weird, and that's something I meant about my thinking process being strange, because I can't explain half of what goes on in my head, but it's just like that energy that's there, and I don't know, that's like, to me that's like the best thing ever. It's a high, basically.
And a who? Are you not going to say Jeremy?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Or do you not think
But-
you understand
No,
love well
no.
enough
No,
to answer the
I'm-
question?
That was
I
a
was
huge
trying to
stall, and
think
then
of-
half
Shut up.
Was there someone before him?
No.
Someone you met after you met Jeremy.
No.
Okay.
I can be sappy and call and say my parents,
I like
my
how you
family.
said that.
I'll be sappy and say my family.
Okay.
You was like, okay.
I have a better
like,
answer if you
sure.
want it.
Sure, go for
Well,
it.
I was trying to.
Alright, I'm not gonna give you a name,
I don't know. That's enough.
but
I don't.
there was a girl that I saw for a while that our entire relationship was like friends with benefits. And it was the most intensely passionate, like 3 or 4 months of like any relationship I've ever had. And it was like, and it was entirely, I think it's one of the few times in my life where I've consistently made love instead of just having sex or fucking. And it was all about the pleasure of the other person and things like that, which is why my definition of, there's 3 kinds of sex. There's fucking, where everything's about you and getting off. And there's regular neutral sort of sex where it's a mutual benefit. You get off, they get off, it's all good. And then making love, where it's all about the other person's stimulation. It's all about the other person getting off. You want to make them come. That's the goal of making love, is to bring pleasure to the person that you're having sex with. And it was like consistently, every time, it was not about me. And I think that's what I mean by what love is. I think the only time I've really ever had that on a consistent basis was that 3 months or so. And even then, like after that, now we're still friends, we talk and everything. We don't do that anymore. And I don't regret that or feel bad about that, because it was, love isn't something that has to last forever. Like when it comes to intense passion, that can burn quickly and burn out and be done. And you, as long as both parties, or all 3 parties, or all 6 parties,
3, 6.
yeah, are all happy with that.
Okay. And now Dan.
Card.
Who and what?
Yeah, right.
Or what and who
What and who?
do you love?
What? Well, that'd be who.
Who do you love?
Everyone in this room right now at the moment.
Yay. I feel, continue, what?
What do you mean by what? Like an item or?
Or an idea, what do you love to do?
That's why I thought
I love
animals.
hanging
He's
with
like,
friends.
what?
Anyway, yeah, I love my friends.
Okay, fair enough.
What do I love my friends?
Family-wise, I would have to say my dad, even though he's no longer here. Friendship-wise, I'd have to say his dumbass brother.
Who's dumbass brother?
Dean's brother.
His dumbass brother.
Oh, which dumbass brother?
Hammond.
Yeah.
That's one. Romantic-wise, I would have to say past tense or now, because
Either one. Pick one.
Past tense, the most feeling probably. I'd have to say Nicole Robertson. But we went out for like a couple weeks, and then something happened, and then like a year after that, she tried to get me to go to jail. But I can't deny my feelings towards her for a time period. It was beyond anything I ever felt. What was the last one? Yeah, what was the last one?
Who and what? That was about it. I think you kind of answered both.
Spiritual?
Oh, well, you don't have to go with that.
Oh,
one.
we haven't. I have an answer for that too.
I don't think I have enough faith in any particular god to really have a spiritual.
It doesn't have to be a god. You saw my form of spirituality, and I invented it myself. My spirituality is art and symbolism. I actually have a super devout, one of them bitchy, older Christian women who I worked with for years and constantly would do the convert kind of thing, but subtle, try to do it subtly, but in that bitchy Christian girl, woman right away. You know the old bats that always hang around at the church?
Yes, I do.
Alright, that kind of a woman who once upon a time said, she actually came up to me and said, now I understand why you don't hold any faith. Art is your faith.
I have not found my artistic part enough to have faith.
I worship to the altar of creation. I create my own faith.
That's
You create
right.
your own faith, you create your own destiny.
Sure. I like that. I want to steal that. I'm going to steal that.
That story reminds me of something I'd like to share.
Alright, let Josh have his spiritual answer real quick, then Kelsey.
Oh no, let Kelsey answer first.
Alright,
Talk
Kelsey.
to me.
You might as well
I think
do
the
it.
person
You're going to have
that I
another one after
love-
that.
Hey, let her finish. Don't cut her
I
off.
think the person that I love most besides Dean is my sister. I don't know, I feel like I can tell anything to her. I feel like we can share anything.
Okay, cool.
And then my mom, and I guess things I like most is music
Okay,
I was going to say
okay.
and nature.
I don't understand the music, only that I have absolutely no natural rhythm at all. So I can't fall in line with any form of a rhythm. I live pretty much on inconsistent hiccups, basically.
other people.
I live on inconsistencies. I define myself as clear of contradiction. Balanced only because I am simultaneously two different things. Okay, Josh. Spiritual?
Spiritual. I think one of my next projects I want to work on is compiling a book of bits of stand-up comedy or poetry or other random bits of things that I would consider to me as important to me as scripture is to other people.
Okay.
And I think that my religion is essentially, like I feel like I'm a spiritual atheist, if that makes any sense. What?
Spirituality
No,
does not necessarily have to coincide with religion.
I said Scientology.
No.
Mr. Cruz.
Alright,
Kind of off topic.
before I answer...
I said kind of off topic. There's actually a religion that seriously believes that the world was created by a flying spaghetti monster.
That's not a real religion.
And
It
the
is.
reason,
I think it's
no,
become
base
one.
No, it's not.
definition of, I thought it was.
No.
Anyway, and the reason that the world is in so much trouble is a lack of pirates, like Pirates of the
Can I
Caribbean.
explain that
pirates.
real quick then? Because
Well,
that's not a real
Shortly.
religion. It's a modern day Russell's Teapot. Russell's Teapot originally is this. Russell had this. Russell Brand, I think. No, not Russell Brand. What the fuck's his real name? Bertrand Russell. Bertrand Russell came up with this idea that it's essentially a criticism of religion, that you can't prove God exists. A lot of people will be like, well, like you could just as well say there's a giant teapot in the sky that and has all these stipulations. And then when someone asks more about it, you go, well, no, you like, well, why can't we feel its weight? Oh, because it's weightless. You know, like there's always somebody giving an answer like that. So Flying Spaghetti Monster is a modern day Russell's Teapot. This idea.
What is that called?
I don't
That's that religion.
Infallible?
I can't remember, but that's
That's interesting.
and so it basically what Flying Spaghetti Monster is. It was what happened was this guy this guy's kid was being taught being taught in school the theory of intelligent design. They instituted it in Kansas. I think it was Kansas. This all went down. And this guy was an atheist and didn't want his son to be taught religion, essentially. So what he did was he wrote a letter to the school saying, if you're going to teach all these alternate theories of things, you have to also teach my religion, which is the theory that, which is the theory that a giant flying spaghetti monster created the earth. And then, and so he made this up. It was entirely fictional. And it got on the internet, and a bunch of people were like, that is fucking hilarious. And he actually wrote the tenets of it, which was the ninjas and all that jazz. And it's all written out. It's not a real religion.
That's
it's entirely fake.
I wonder if there isn't a group somewhere praying to the almighty man there.
There probably is. I would not
Has
be
he touched you
surprised.
with his noodly appendage? That's how it
Exactly.
says. But no, it really is not a religion.
That's interesting.
So, that's really what it boils down to. Is it's not, it's not that the whole idea is entirely, it's a farce. It's making fun of religion. The whole thing is making fun of religion.
That
which,
reminds me.
whether or not that is a good thing or a bad thing isn't what I was,
Right.
I'm just letting you know
Right.
that it's fake.
Huh.
It's not a real
That's
religion.
interesting.
That reminds me of God Rules Incompleteness theory. That's what it is. Is that basically it's the whole why don't we feel the rate? That's how science works. In order for us to observe something and make an accurate diagnosis of what it is, interpretation, what have you, is that in order to make it work, first we have to assume that the interaction is this. We have to build a model for that to work in, and it does not work outside of that model. But then in order for that, we have to build another model that one fits in. And it just goes on and on.
Yeah.
So if you go back to the basis, if everything today is based on the concept, the most basic principle of the matter, you have to bear in mind that everything that's up here exists as it would not exist without all these other rings supporting it downwards. You see what I'm saying?
I think so. sort of lost you for a minute, but
Well, it's like
like
this is the original thing
I-
right there.
Yeah.
Okay, now we know this is true. The problem with that is that we cannot identify it as true unless we build a model or a framework in which we can observe or calculate how it interacts with shit. But then this model and framework, we don't know that that's true or actual until we build another model that will fit it. So eventually,
I think
we get to modern day where everything exists based on these basic principles and facts of science and nature, but the original principles that we base all of our knowledge presently on isn't identified as true, because what we identify as true with is shit that we've extrapolated and imagined as being true.
I think there's some truth to that.
Well, that's his theory, is that also why a computer will never beat a human in chess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like I was saying, yeah. The whole idea of Russell's teapot and all that jazz is that it's that, and like with Flying Spaghetti Monster, there's always extra stipulations. It's the giant pink elephant is another one. It's saying, oh, it's like saying I have a giant pink elephant in my garage, and someone comes in and goes, the skeptic would come in and go, well, I don't see it. That's because it's invisible. Well, how come I don't see the effects of its weight in your garage? Well, it's because it's floating. And then like any question you give, there's gonna be a well, how come I can walk through it? Oh, because it's intangible. Like
how do you know that's there?
Because I know it's like, and then they'll come up with something like that.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Because
why do you have that faith?
Like, and there will go. I'm not gonna extrapolate, but it will go on. Like, why do you have that faith in God? Like, and it's
because
the same
of
kind of
evidence that I've been presented with and I've taken into account and come to the conclusion.
Well, as far as they know, they've come to that evidence.
I just asked you that.
I have evidence of the pink elephant. It's made itself relevant to me.
How?
It came to me in a dream.
What happened in that dream that led you to the faith that it was real?
But anyway, that's not a real religion. That's the whole point.
Moving on.
I did not know that. That's
Moving on.
interesting.
Now you are educated.
Oh wait, I'm left.
Yeah.
Okay, love. I kind of answered that when it comes to art. It's my form of spirituality too. I kind of discovered that I enjoy writing as much as I might enjoy art, but I'm not as prolific at it. Not as much experience. But I have a book of art ideas that I call my Bible, and a lot of it has found its way into my computer in a little folder in every other fucking type of art I do labeled Bible of ideas. That's my Bible. And then there's people. I had this quote a long time ago. I wrote that I have loved 3 women in my life, and I know Josh is going to rip apart the shitty grammar here. But one of which I was born into, and the other 2 were born into me.
Josh is horrible with grammar and spelling.
Of course, my mother being the one I was born into. I love my family. I just don't like them very much. At all. They're not very good people, in my opinion. And I hold a lot of resentment for that. And then there's her. Which I'm going to put on the big screen. That's my ex-wife. So that's the ex-wife. And then everybody knows Erin.
Yeah, but we haven't seen her in lingerie
I need your
yet.
dick. Everyone who's met Erin, completely the opposite person of Lisa. Doesn't even look as the same body type. And then there's my best friend Aaron, the guy. You never really, I wanted to ask, you never answered the spiritual question. Do you consider yourself a spiritual person? And does your spirituality involve your religion?
I would have to think about that one.
Oh, I stumped her.
Yes, you did.
Uh-huh.
Very much so.
I know, because you've known us for so long. Look what we did to Melissa. Melissa was a Christian until we met her.
Wait, Melissa's not a Christian anymore?
Oh no, she fucking...
I'm not renouncing my religion.
She didn't renounce it, more or less she got fed up with God not giving her what she
Oh.
wanted in life.
But
I've heard of
I don't
all
know.
kinds of shit about it.
stuff's going through my head that I've never actually been exposed to before, so I'm kind of trying to figure out where it all
I think she
fits.
basically